Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something completely different. I've never talked about this topic on this channel, but here I am. And the thing is, when we move around the world, really move to another country, not just visiting or traveling, really move to another country, do we learn the language that is officially there? Or languages, because there are so many countries in this beautiful world that have more than one official language. So when we move around the world, wherever it is, do we learn the language that is there? So this is the question that I want to address today. Another side of it, do we need to learn that language? Because that's another thing. Do we want or do we need to learn the language? Well, it so happens that I am from not where I live right now. I am from Moldova, and this is a small country in Eastern Europe. This is really Eastern Europe. It's not Western Asia. It's not Central Europe. It's not Balkan countries. It's really Eastern Europe. It's Moldova. And this is a small country between Romania in the west and Ukraine throughout the north, east, and south. And linguistically, we speak the same language as in Romania, and we are more or less culturally the same. Of course, there are regional differences. However, we speak the same language, so it's Romanian. And when I was growing up, of course, I learned English from the second grade, and this is kind of my second language, I could say, at this point. I used like English language since I was a kid, obviously, and growing up and going to university and then later starting working in tech industry, I always used English. Then in the fifth grade or middle school, in Moldova, you still have to learn Russian as a second foreign language. So after either English, French, or German, you would learn Russian for 5 years. And 5 years is not a lot, but for some reason, I told my mom when I was 6 years old that I would like to know Russian before I go to school. So she showed me the alphabet. It's a bit different. The Cyrillic alphabet, it has 33 letters instead of 26, what we have in Latin alphabet. So I was able already to read Russian when I went to school in the first grade. And then later on, when I started learning it in school, in middle school, in the fifth grade, I kind of picked it up very, very quick. And then I made some friends that were Russian speaking. So for this reason, I feel blessed to be able to speak Russian fluently as well. And it helped me actually in life because wherever I moved later in life, I could use this language, and quite often there were Russian speaking people. Now, Russian speaking people doesn't mean necessarily Russian because, according to history, there were a lot of Russian influence all over the world, and especially in the ex-Soviet Union zone. All of those countries, 15 of them, they were at least at conversational level, if not fluent Russian. So there are a lot of people, from Ukraine, Uzbekistan, you name it, Tajikistan, Moldova, that speak Russian today. And even in the Eastern Bloc, like Poland or, maybe some Czechoslovakia or, sorry, Czechia or Slovakia, some of these people, especially the older generations, they speak Russian as well. Anyway, that was Russian. And then when I was in high school, I was really thinking about German. So I kind of had like extracurricular courses when I was in 11th and 12th grade. And then I didn't have any option to learn German further. So when I moved to Bucharest, where is my second country, Romania, to do my first study, I didn't need to learn another language because we speak Romanian there as well. So my English got better there because I had some courses only in English. But then later on, 3 years later, I was 23, I moved finally to Germany, where I really wanted to go. And I had the option to either not learn at all German or actually really learn it and integrate myself into that culture and society. And that was what I chose to do. Option B, to actually learn German and be part of them fully. And to be honest, I'm so very grateful that I did this, that it helped me at so many levels. And although I didn't need to speak German at all because my second study was completely in English, and at work at Nokia, where I used to work, and at those times, it was many years ago, I spoke English only because it was a multinational corporation. So German was like nice to have, but we didn't need to speak German. Most of people would not speak German at all. So, and then I had my ex, who is a German person, but he wanted to practice his English with me. So voila, I didn't really have possibilities to learn German like on a daily basis. However, I took a conscious decision to learn it because I wanted to integrate myself in the German society, in the German culture, be part of it, but ultimately to actually understand what's going around me. So, this being said, after I think I learned German at the very beginning in 2010/2011 in my very first months there. So I reached a level of B1, which is intermediate. Then I went into B2 and I finished that as well. My aim actually was to do a study in German, a master degree in German. This didn't work out. However, I finished B2 and afterwards, for some reason, I didn't really practice it that much because, as I told you, my job was in English, my study was in English, my boyfriend didn't want to speak German with me, so I didn't really practice German that much. However, I could understand almost everything, but expressing myself, having like a conversation like I have right now with you, was not really the case. It didn't that it came difficult to me. It was just I didn't practice it enough because when you go to these daily language courses, you learn a lot in a very short time, but you don't practice that much because it's a short time. So years pass by, I get to know my husband, and I remember when I visited my in-laws for the first time, I fell in love with German language. And let me explain what I mean with that. I saw them talking, when we put breakfast on the weekends, talking about what's going around. Then during the day, when we visited one or another place, of course, everyone spoke German, me including, and it felt nice because a fact is that his family comes from not a rich family, but it's someone who dealt with rich people in the past, and for this reason they had to speak in a certain way, behave in a certain way, and also use very nice expressions that I maybe heard in the past or not, but I felt in love with that because it felt very harmonious, very melodic, and I told myself back then that I'm gonna speak German more and more because it's a beautiful language, and it is a beautiful language. If you try, by the way, to read poetry in German, it's like a chef's kiss. It's so, so beautiful. And, I know that a lot of comparisons are made between German and Italian or German and French, and then German is so hardcore, like it has these consonants all the time, but it's not. Like when you have a full conversation with someone that is German or is fluent in German and uses these expressions and it's about this or that or that. It's very, very melodic. And this is how I felt in love with the German language back in 2016, back in the day. And since then, I spoke German more and more. I was already speaking with my husband, back then boyfriend, only German at the beginning. Now we kind of do 50-50 German and English. It's just what it is. But back in the day when we started dating and living together, I was speaking German only with him. Now, moving forward, 8.5 years later, we moved to the Netherlands, which is a neighboring country, as you know, to the west, to the ocean. And I think it was just the right decision, like a life upgrade, put it this way. Germany is a beautiful country, and Berlin has offered us such an amazing life with a lot of opportunities. But I think as we grow older, we needed something extra, and that was Netherlands. Obviously, here is another language, it's Dutch, but here in Netherlands, everyone speaks English, literally even more than in Germany. So here you will have grandmas and grandfathers who are 70, 80 years old, and they will speak English. Maybe not at the most conversational level, but you will be able to speak English to them. And it's even harder here to like consider learning Dutch than in Germany considering learning German, because English is just like really like a second language for everyone, from the kids in school to like the oldest people. And this being said, it's again the same situation when I'm put into, do I need to learn Dutch? Do I want to learn Dutch? And I chose that I want to learn Dutch. And officially on September 12th, which is in what, 3 weeks from now, we are going to start learning Dutch with an individual professor or teacher. And we are very excited to do that. But because he's German and I'm fluent in German today, and we speak English both, learning Dutch is going to come a little bit easier. However, I did notice for myself as a Romanian native speaker, the pronunciation in Dutch will come probably the hardest for me. It's not the grammar, it's not really the vocabulary, because the vocabulary you have to learn it anyway, but the pronunciation in Dutch is completely different than what I'm used to in English or German or Russian or Romanian. So for this reason, it's going to be that. It's going to be maybe a struggle for me at first. For my husband, it is not at all. When he starts reading in Dutch, it's like match made in heaven. So I'm very happy for him. But for me, it's a little bit different. So yeah, we're going to start learning Dutch, and hopefully I'm going to have something like Dutch word of the day as Nikki Tutorials has, because she's amazing and she has had always this type of inspiration towards the end of her videos. And I used to watch them with regularity in the past. I should do that again, by the way. Her videos are fun. Yeah, so that's about it, guys. I think it's so important that you'd consider learning the language of the country where you move to, not just because you have to or because you need it, but more so for your own self, like to understand what's going around you. If you read the news, if you go to an official government office, or if you just buy online certain things, not everything is going to be in English. I can promise you that. Even if it is in English, because some countries do, like Netherlands, but it's still important to allow yourself to integrate in that culture and in that society, because trust me, even if I didn't have to learn Romanian, I did integrate myself in Romanian culture and Romanian way of life. I did the same in Germany, and I'm gonna do this here in the Netherlands as well. I think it's just so important to allow yourself to be part of it, because we all miss our home. We all miss our friends. We all miss our parents, our food, our culture, our climate. We all miss all of these beautiful things that we had in the past growing up. But if you want to feel comfortable, if you want to feel yourself, and you want to have a good life, to enjoy life, allow yourself to integrate fully into that particular society, culture, call it whatever you want. And a big factor in this process is learning the language. So I want to encourage you, if you do move to another country and they speak another language than yours, learn it. Learn it at least at conversational level. You don't have to become like a teacher or reach a level that you need for university, not at all. Just learn it towards, A2, B1 level. This is intermediate level, so that you are able to understand what's going around you, not just say thank you and order in a restaurant, or say good night, good morning. Not just this, but a bit more, to have actually proper sentences, to introduce yourself, to tell about yourself, to tell about your country, and tell why you're living in that beautiful country. That was it. I thought this video is going to be just a couple of minutes long, but it's longer. And I hope you reached this end, and let me know below to which countries did you move to and which languages did you learn. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to self-tan and subscribe.